You are watching Travel World Online.
Namaskar, good afternoon, Sat Sri Akal. I welcome you all on today's episode of Travel World. Travel, tourism, and hospitality industry is going through one of the worst phases of this century. It's the industry which was hit first and will recover last. Today we will discuss the revival of hotel industry. Today we have Mr. Kamal Vardhan Rao, IAS, CMD, IDDC, Mr. Avinash Maghani, CEO, Welcome Heritage, and Mr. Gajendra Singh, a passionate golfer and MD of Chardikla Manor, a wildlife resort in Rajasthan. Let's go. Let's ask Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, please tell us how your organization is planning for Unlock One.
Thank you so much, Anil Sharma. Thank you so much. And I would like to start with the report of UNWTO, which speaks about, of course, the kind of damage which has taken place already to the tourism industry in the world, and how more than 217 world-renowned destinations have been closed down. Even the borders are sealed in many of the countries, which they speak about the percentages also. Three days back, I was just going through the statistics given by the civil aviation sector in this country. So where less than 10% of the people are traveling. To quote, one flight came day before yesterday from Hyderabad to New Delhi, 2-hour flight. In Vistara, it was 4 people were in business class and another 4 people were in economy class. Entire flight was empty. So maybe once it is open up, this on lockdown one, if business is really will open up, then hotels also will be opened and restaurants may be open. So what people want is health protocol to be in place. Safety is the most important thing, which we are, whether we are having a mask, whether we are having a sanitizer, health, we have to reassure that health, this is the healthy place. Okay. Now all the hotels will compete among themselves. The more you are the protocols are healthy. So what ITDC per se, we have already we started training 2 weeks back for almost 1,000 staff that we are having in Ashok and Samrat in all sections and all sectors. We have started providing them professional training as per WHO guidelines, as per Minister of Health guidelines. In fact, Minister of Health guidelines will appeared yesterday. So our SOP is already ready, and we have taken the protocols from Food and Safety Security Authority of India, FSSAI guidelines, and ASIP guidelines are also incorporated in that. Accordingly, we have designed SOP, and I'm sure entire hotel industry in the country is following their own SOPs taken from WHO and the Ministry of Health and other established guidelines which are there. Now, the moment people come right from the cab driver, right from the airport, when he enters the cab driver, from cab driver to enter the hotel, and from enter the hotel to enter the lift, and from getting into the room, and the changing of the linen, and the restaurant, entering the restaurant, whether it is a bar, a salon, whatever, everywhere a tourist or a businessman, a customer should feel that he is safe. Okay, and least contact is the most important thing. Least contact is wellness is something which is going to be focused, because hygienic and health. So if hotel industry is trying to come out with this wellness thing, keeping in mind, I think we can revive very, very fast.
Health and safety, least contact, remote locations, wellness, all these very well covered. Avinash, how do you see this unlocking working for Welcome Heritage?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because during Unlock 1, some of our Welcome Heritage hotels are ideally positioned for customers who live in urban areas, looking for a safe environment to have a getaway. Our hotels offer a safe haven because they are distant from large urban conglomerates, and they are ideally built, naturally built for safe distancing. There are very few rooms. They are normally in green zones, and because we follow WHO certified guidelines for disinfection, they offer customers a double benefit.
Rajinder ji, what's your take on this question?
The question is very good, Hemant. I think the the crux of the matter is that this is not the end of life. We all need to go forward. We all need to move out. And I think gradually people are realizing that this is not, after all, it is not a very deadly disease. Initial stages, we did not know how the virus is going to behave and how is it going to affect our lives. But now that after 2.5, 3, 4, 3.5 months, we know what the virus is all about. Especially in Rajasthan, my observation is that people are little more scared, and there are only two cities which have major issues with virus, Jodhpur and Jaipur. But the rest of Rajasthan is all practically COVID-free in that sense. I would say. I mean, you cannot say COVID-free, but yes, if you move out with caution, if you keep the safe distance, if you keep your hygiene, if you keep, wear your mask and ensure that you do not do anything that is not required, then you are safe. And I think gradually people are becoming aware of it and they are moving out. And tourists will also start going out. I am myself feeling that people are taking, small trips. They are wanting to go out. They've started going to restaurants now. They will definitely start going out for a holiday as well.
The important is demand. So how to create demand? Where this demand will come from? Mr. Rao, any thought how we are going to create this demand?
I would like to call it as a COVID-driven tourism. Okay, when you identify places like Himalayas and the Northeast and forest areas and in Kerala, see, look at the global statistics. If you see a population with 130 crore population, where our rate of infected patients is just about 2 lakhs. So entire world is watching, what is happening to India, what is the strength of Indian climate or strength of Indian food habits. So they may try to come here, certainly in a big number, to visit to places like Himalayas and the Northeast and the forest areas and Kerala. So I would say, the COVID itself is the driving force for the international travelers to come to India as a destination, and also to places like in the Himalayas and Northeast. And I would name it as a COVID-driven tourism.
Avinash, I will ask the same question.
Demand pickup has been mixed. We find that in states like Karnataka, there is some kind of movement to our resorts because Karnataka state is open for tourism and there are no restrictions for intra-state or interstate travel. However, in places, in other states, though like Rajasthan, tourism is open, but people are not traveling, maybe because they are scared or not sure of what will happen, keeping in mind the growth of COVID cases in Rajasthan. In the north, states like Himachal and Haryana and Uttarakhand are closed for tourism. We are also hearing that Maharashtra is opening for tourism in the forest areas, but the borders are closed. So it's a mixed picture. I think demand is picking up slowly, and we think that as time goes on, this will improve considerably.
This is a question for every one of us to ponder upon. What is the future of our industry? I think the world has been going around, and we have seen many situations. We have always come back. The mankind is the biggest fighter they say that uh, the, the tiger has a great survival instinct. So does the human being. The human being also has a great survival instinct. So we are the ones who can, defeat any kind of a pandemic. So my personal view is that we will come out of it. We are well equipped to come out of it. We have the brains to think about it, and the industry is going to come back. It might take a little longer as than the other issues that we have had in the country, but uh, I, my personal feeling is that in the next 5 to 6 months, we will be back almost 70 to 80% of what we were before this pandemic started.
I will request all of you to give your closing remarks.
So my closing comments to this are really that these are, as said many times earlier, unusual times, and unusual times call for unusual decisions. We all need to pause, reflect, and reset our priorities as individuals, as organizations, as a nation. And I'm pretty confident that we'll come out of this in a much more healthier and organized manner. So I'm very hopeful. I'm excited that we all have this opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity of rethinking ourselves and reimagining ourselves. Thank you.
The hygiene and the price. These are two factors which are going to drive the business back. And of course, to win the trust of the customer. And how do you win the trust of the customer? The trust of the customer. The first thing that the customer is looking for today is what price is he paying, and second is whether the place is clean and hygienic, and you are taking care of all the rules and regulations that have been followed, that have been formulated to protect the customer from any infection. To conclude, I would like to say that the hotel industry uh, will and should stand tall and show the way to the travel industry by rationalizing prices to optimize our room nights, our occupancies.
Hi Romit, welcome to Travel World. Please tell our viewers the situation of Germany today. What are the options to visit Germany? When do you think the international travel will start? And the place they can visit in Germany whenever it opens up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Romit Theophilus. I am the Director for India for the German National Tourist Office. I'm here to share with you that Germany is opening itself up more and more each day. Currently, travel from neighboring European countries such as Switzerland and Austria are allowed into Germany, and slowly more and more European countries will be allowed to come in for tourism into Germany. Talking about the country itself, almost everything is now open and life is starting to resume back to normal with, of course, social distancing, wearing of masks in crowded indoor areas or in the subway trains as well. And most of the touristic attractions are now opening, including hotels, museums, river cruises, and other touristic attractions as well. That is the current situation in Germany. Talking about the future, we believe long haul travel or travel more than 8 hours will come into play once, probably by early September. This is what we assume. We haven't got any affirmative go ahead as of now, but this is what we believe will happen. That by September, international flights will be allowed into Germany. Talking about the Indian situation, we do hope that once we get a hold on the current corona crisis that we have in India, we will also begin international flights and flights to Germany as well. Lufthansa has actually already gone ahead and mentioned that they would like to start Mumbai, Frankfurt, and Delhi, Munich. So we're hoping that this does come into action, and when this comes into action, we'll have a lot more people willing to travel to Germany. Germany is one of the safest countries to go to, both in terms of healthcare as well as in terms of being safe when it comes to this virus as well. That being said, it could happen to anybody, so we all must be on guard. We must all try and maintain our social distance and, of course, wear a mask when in public as well. These are the current situations currently in Germany.
From
For
when
us,
Lufthansa is planning to open?
that is some. As soon as I believe the Indian airspace gives its permission, Lufthansa will look at opening up its flights. But I mean, the last press release I read, they would. Well, everything is being geared up for ITB 2021. We are very hopeful that it will happen. I mean, the talks that we have with our colleagues about people entering Germany, whether it be for trade fairs or leisure, we're very hopeful that this will happen. So we do hope that ITB 2021 will take place. The German National Tourist Office goes, we are working towards an ITB that's happening. So we will also participate, and we're hopeful that we will also be there. COVID free. There are a lot of areas actually which are COVID free right
green
now.
Zones, I mean green zones.
In Germany. So people are now trying to actually explore domestic travel. Germany's always been big on domestic travel, and that's actually something which people are exploring more and more. For example, people living in Frankfurt go to the Rudesheim area. People living in the southwest Germany look at Lake Constance, Titisee, or even the Black Forest to go right now. These are all places which are relatively safe. It's very hard to say. I mean, these are all green areas. It's very hard to say if they're COVID free as such, but these are all green areas.
Once
will happen,
initially,
but they'll be smaller in numbers. I believe family travel will be considered as a small group rather than a large group of say 50 to 60 people. So these will probably still take place. Smaller groups, niche groups will go. However, what you mentioned about the new normal, I mean, once you get into Germany and whatever the regulations are, which we're not sure of at the moment, once those have been done, it'll be like you're visiting Germany any other day. My only advice to people is not only visit the big cities, but go to the smaller cities, because you might have heard of all the big cities. But go, for example, if you're in Frankfurt, go to the Rudesheim area, go see the fairy tale route, uh, go to Stuttgart, go to the Black Forest, for example. So I would always suggest, if anybody's going to Germany, please club it in with any of these lovely areas that are there. So there's quite a lot you can experience in Germany itself. 70% of it's green. You'll always have something to do. There are over 20,000 castles all over Germany, so this is something that people can explore as well. There's quite a lot to do.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we're exploring the leisure segment as well as the business segment. The leisure segment is small groups plus luxury travel is what we're expecting to first revive in 2021. We also expect a decent amount of business travel that will happen between manufacturing people who are manufacturing here in India for their German counterparts, or the other way around as well. So we expect that business travel to take place. You're absolutely correct that MICE at this point of time is will not happen in those large numbers, but people are still looking at welcoming groups of 50 for up to 50. So there are possibilities that even smaller MICE events may take place. But yes, everybody is currently scared. Once we gain back customer confidence, once people have seen what are the precautions to be taken and what are the possible harms, so to say, which could happen when you travel, once their confidence is back, more and more people will travel.
For sure. Yeah, that's what we.
People are looking at holiday destinations, even in India. The bookings will go up. So, I mean, people really do want to try and travel and try and get a little holiday here and there. And they're looking at close by places. Unfortunately, the numbers have kept rising, which is why people are more afraid to do that at this point of time. But when the situation does ease, I do believe that it will bounce back quite fast.
Friends, Jyoti Verma will get us an insight into the corporate world. Jyoti, over to you.
Namaste to everyone. And this time we have a beautiful lady with us to take you through the journey of the travel and what it is to be in travel at this point of time where everyone is wondering what is in the future. We would like to hand over to Ms. Bindu, who is currently holding a position with Cisco as the Global Travel Ops Manager. We would like to hear from her. What is it that she has to share about her journey till date? Bindu, over to you. First of all, thank you for being with us. It's really an honor to have you here. Please go ahead and share your experience with us for the benefit of our viewers.
Hi, Jyoti. Morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, no matter which time zone you are in. So let me just say that I didn't choose travel, right? It basically chose me. I've been around for a little close to 3 decades. Okay, so Jyoti, stop calculating my age. And I've done most, right? Be it marketing, be it sales, be it corporate communication, be it meetings and events, and finally travel, right? But during the years, it dawned on me that travel is something that I like doing, right? That is my calling. And so I started investing more time into learning travel. My learning came from no books, right? Or no courses, but it came from actually on the job, observing people, observing organizations and the industry and learning from that. And I think that's the best teacher as per me. Today, I take care of, I support 96 countries, travel operations for 96 countries, out of which we have 76 countries are online bookings our online booking tools. The others are offline markets, and that number is growing. But my learning, as I said before, is purely industry driven out of observing and interacting with people.
That's interesting. Wow, 96 countries. So this is where comes the women power. And this is what I always advocate with that. Okay, so Bindu, right now what we have realized is the time has come where information has become critical and it's become very important that everyone is hit. So do you think it's very important to have the travelers empowered with a lot of information? And if it is yes, how would you want to do it? What do you think about this?
Information is important, right? And given the crisis that we are going through and the current environment, it is more important for us to equip all of our business travelers, or any traveler for that matter, to have the right information at their fingertips to handle any situation, either on a trip, post a trip, pre-trip, or during a trip, right? But don't get me wrong, right? While I endorse this, I totally endorse the importance of communicating and information. I also know that, sometimes too much of information is not good, right? So you have to figure out how much of information is good for your organization, right? And it's a fine line. So the way I approach this is I look at the pillars of a travel program, right? What would you, as per your organization, think that is important, right, for your travelers? The way I would look at it, I would say safety and security. First and foremost for any organization is traveler safety and security. Then comes your organization driven apps, whether it's an itinerary manager, whether it's your OBT, your online booking tool, pre-trip, post-trip, expense management tools, right? And then your duty of care. Given the world that we are living in today, it's important for a traveler to know how to navigate an airport, right? Within an airport. What are the travel restrictions, regulations, quarantine processes? Take India, for example. Traveling from Maharashtra to Karnataka or Delhi has different quarantine processes in place. And you don't expect your travel agency to keep the travelers informed. So as an organization, you have to equip that business traveler with all of that information that he's required to carry during his trip, right? So having said that, basically, how much of information you need, how many apps you need is a very need-driven. So I would create probably a need-driven, relevant toolkit based on what I require, what's important for me, whether it's, an ISOS app, right? To manage all of your safety, security, assistance information, quarantine processes, restrictions. Then for a contactless, say, mobile check-in, airport process, or your travel, your air process, an app for that. In the ideal world, I would prefer to have one place to go to it. Unfortunately, it's not the case. So do your picking and choosing based on what's relevant for you. Yeah, but information is important given the current times.
That's nice. That's very interesting. And in a crisp, you actually made us think a lot of things. Which are the touch points, which, like you said, is not available at one single platform. So there is a huge opportunity, technology teams out there to get that piece right for you.
Yeah,
so,
it should.
Yeah. So with that, I would like to move on to asking you today, being a crisis or non-crisis and handling so many countries, there's a lot of data which has been collected. Do you think somewhere as an organization, you could use this and have a lot of intervention from AI to support you on this? And how and where would you like to do that?
So it's already driving choices, Jyoti. I mean,
okay.
Take a look at, say, the shared economy companies, right? Whether you're talking about Airbnb or Uber, Lyft. I'm just giving you an example.
Yes.
They are using AI, machine learning, and data mining to drive a lot of, predicting travelers' choices, right? Taking feedback, looking at reviews, integrating that into better experience, okay? Whether it is the booking experience or a stay experience or a traveling experience, right? They're using all of that. Now, so an organization is also doing that. A lot of large organizations, including where I work, we tend to look at that a lot and integrate it for a better experience within the organization.
That's interesting. So yeah, when you say, I think today the things like Uber, Airbnb, which we didn't hear about 5-7 years back, have really become the next norm. I remember where first time Air Deccan had come, companies didn't even give an approval to have them as a airline. And in fact, I remember doing a survey for one of the company, a difference between a low-cost carrier and a low-frill airline. That's when I saw, even I understood what the difference were. So it was interesting. So with this, okay, now that we're coming to what are the people who are supporting you. So the current situation has not been good for everybody. So whereas as a company, you have certain norms to manage, you also have cost restrictions. So how and do you see your vendor negotiations going? Who you call them as your partners and they need to be hand in hand? So what is it that you would like to see where your RFPs will be at this point?
Truth be told, I don't think anyone's looking at savings today, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, and I personally am not. The way I'm approaching this and is based purely on partnership, right? It should be a win-win for all of us. I don't think we can, by me going to my suppliers and saying, let's do an RFP all over again, I'm not going to achieve anything. I'm just going to squeeze them from, what's not right, what rightfully shouldn't be the case. The way I'm, looking at this whole thing is we're all in this together. The industry is not going to succeed and not going to recover if we are not going to pull each other out of it and work together, right? It's not about a savings. It's not about one's organization. It's an industry as a whole. And that's where my belief is. And I would urge people to look at it that way. Because if we start looking at individuals, organizations, then we are not going to, as an industry, we're not going to succeed through recovery.
Yeah, that's a very positive look. What is it that you would want to tell the travelers out there who are going to be traveling on handling the information overflow that they are getting to themselves because of others' courses? And what is it and how they would like, is one line of a message that you would give to make sure that they don't panic, keep the relevance of the whole thing, and the travel is going to be a challenge.
I'm going to change that a little. I'm going to say for business travelers as well as our suppliers.
Yes.
And so for my travelers, basically is, I would say, have your information at hand, at fingertips, right? Know where to go to get information. And also don't look at it the traditional way that you expect, you walk in and everything is as, a well-oiled machine that you reach the airport, check-in, what happened? It's a different norm. It's a different world that we're moving towards. So be prepared for anything unexpected, but walk in with enough and more information on how to handle the situation. Now, for the suppliers, right, and for all of our partners, what I would like to say is we've moved away from the crisis management mode to recovery mode, right? Start spending the time that you have right now calling people, interacting with travelers, interacting with travel managers to figure out what is it that they want to see, right? What is it from a traveler standpoint would it take for a traveler to start traveling again, right? Is it hygiene? Is it cleanliness? Is it contactless? What is it? Have forums, have those discussions, but spend time getting feedback from people and integrating that within the new processes that you're setting, within each of your organizations is what I say.
Thank you so much, Bindu, for spending this time with us. We have learned a lot from this session. It's been interesting. I'm out there. I'm sure viewers also will agree to this. With this, I would like to take a sign off and thank you for giving your precious time.
Thank you, viewers. Keep watching Travel World on your favorite channel, Time TV Chardikla.